All right. I didn't know I was going first, so I guess I wasn't that request. But okay. First, I'd like to thank the Basketball Club of South Jersey for this honor. It's a real honor for me personally. I grew up, my father was a Hall of Famer, and so many names in that book I've heard stories about. So to finally be in that book, it means a lot. I'd also like to congratulate all the other inductees. Reading their bios, tremendous. I've seen a number of them play, coached against one, and they're well-deserving too. I'd also like to thank my family, who I'm starting to think the only reason I've gotten some of these honors over the last couple of years is because it's a fundraising event. As you can see, we're deep here. There's four or five tables, but it means a lot. And most importantly, thank God I have so many assistant coaches because I have 4 kids now. And if you've ever seen my kids, if you ever seen my teams play, we press, we run down the floor, and they usually hit places like that, like my teams played. So we needed all the control we could have tonight with my kids. I always use the example for the basketball people out there. Talk about your heart going up and down. In the South Jersey final against Woodbury, in the second half, we were up 26, down 2, and won by 17. So we didn't do a good job of holding the ball in that game, but that's basically how my kids approach pretty much everything. I'd also like to thank my wife Chelsea, who I knew she came in at the end of my coaching career, but I knew she was the one. I always remember playing Paulsboro Woodbury, South Jersey's best rivalry. Sorry to everyone else. And I look across the gym, and right in the middle of a Woodbury Paulsboro craziness is my blonde. She was blonder then. I know I was skinnier and had more hair, but she was blonder then. Was my blonde wife, and I knew after that game I was like, all right, she's here to stay. She didn't run. Although she's been a good wife, she is kind of a topper. In 2015, she's gonna be mad. I won a state championship. I was excited. She goes and gets the New Jersey State Teacher of the Year that year. When I told her, it gets worse. I told her, hey, I'm getting into the South Jersey Hall of Fame. She goes, that's great. Hopefully it's not this weekend, because that's the weekend we're going to my doctorate graduation. So, I don't know, this is the top for me, so you can calm down. But I appreciate all she's done. So when I started to think about, what you want to say, because let's be honest, there's only 4 tables that probably really care what I'm saying. So I started thinking about some different people that have impacted me, some things said, and some, again, people that impacted me throughout this. As I look out in this room, I see Russ Winsett, who I'll connect a story to him within a minute, or I see Eric Cassidy, who's someone that he's given me my worst losses as a coach and as a player. He's beaten me bad, but both ways, and I appreciate him coming here tonight. My first AD, Mr. York, is here, who I'll talk about him in a second also, and obviously my high school coach, Bill Doherty, whose son is head coach of Gloucester Catholic, and I was thinking, this may be selfish of me, his best player is a 22 redheaded kid. So, I don't know if that was your best player, but it's a coincidence. All right. But anyway, so my journey in basketball started, I believe, probably with a horse, really. My dad was a basketball coach at Glassboro State, came home to my mom, said he wanted a horse. So they moved from Stratford to the Mecca of basketball, Salem County. And the reason that was important to me, because I don't know if I would have been born. And the second thing is, it kind of made me an outsider to, the junior high and the Camden CYO leagues and stuff like that. And I never knew how good I was until I got an opportunity around 5th grade to go to the All-Star camp at Gloucester Catholic. Back then, that was the camp. First it was my dad's beloved Gloucester Catholic that I heard so many stories about. And it threw me off when I walked in and I saw this gym that he'd often talk about, people hanging from the rafters, watching these games. Well, this gym, if you ever seen it, no offense, Gloucester Catholic, it holds about, it's like a middle school gym. Anyway, that's a different story. But when I was there, the only issue I had is my dad made me wear Chuck Taylors, which some of you may not think is that big of a deal, but I'm not that old. So I walked in, I was the kid like Hoosiers, dribbling the ball, shooting it on a bar, and I had Chuck Taylors. But what I learned that week was, hey, first, okay, I can compete against all these kids of all these great programs up there in Camden County, but also there's a lot of good players. And the first quote that comes to mind is the late Art DePatri, Hall of Famer. He said to me, Sean, you have your father's jump shot and your mom's disposition, so you're going to make it out all right in basketball. So it worked out. Then I go to high school at Shallock High School, and it was a great time because at that time you were there with your friends, you're the kids you grew up with. We competed. Coach Jockey did a great job, but it was a tough time to be in Tri-County. Glassboro won a state championship. The Gormans were at Gloucester. The Crispins won state championships at Pittman, but we competed. We had a great time, and I look at my high school experience at Shallock as one of the fondest times of my life. And then I got the opportunity to play basketball at Monmouth University, and anyone that's played college basketball realizes my dad would always talk about the nuances of a game, and you learn so much. I also learned how to be a leader when you weren't the best player on the team. Wasn't the best player on the team, but got chosen to be the captain for 2 years, and the coaches looked at me for a lot of different things, and that meant a lot to me too. So then I got into coaching. Mr. York, I told you I was coaching football, and Mr. York kind of told me after my first year, you're going to be the basketball coach. And at Shallock, I didn't know, and I had an open gym that summer. And the next thing I know, I swear, luck of the Irish, I didn't know this left-handed kid comes in the gym, Paul Gauze. And if you don't know who Paul Gauze is, he has 3,144 career points. So he took my career and Shallock's career and put us on the map. I believe Coach Allen, we played that shootout at Cherry Hill. You remember it well. We ended up, Atlantic City was great. We ended up beating them, but Paul at 49. People still talk about that game to me. I'll talk about when I'm at Paulsboro too, where we played Coach Allen again on the back end of playing Camden the day before in a minute. But anyway, so Paul came in and we went to Shallock, and we ended up losing the state championship. Paul made us believe that we could play with anybody. He made my job as a coach very easy. One time a coach asked me like, how do you break the press so easy? You get it to Paul. And I always remember it was early in my career, and Mr. Sequela gave me this advice, my second quote, and he probably won't remember. We were playing Russ Winsett on an early Saturday morning. I always remember Coach Winsett gave us donuts. And we played really well. And at that time, I didn't know what we wanted to be, and they ended up beating us. And we only had 5 or 6 wins that year, but Coach Sequela looked at me and just slapped me on the back and said, talking about Paul, he's like, open it up and sell tickets. Basically, let him go. And that's what we did. And we started to press and play our 1-3-1 ever since. After that, I got an opportunity to coach at Paulsboro. And Paulsboro, like I said, Paul made us think we could play anybody. Paulsboro made me believe we could beat anybody. Everybody, you can't put Paulsboro into words. I always say everybody in their life should get to coach at Paulsboro. It meant so much to me. It also brought me to the Colonial Conference, which again, growing up with stories, my dad talking about so many greats of Camden County and Burlington County, and getting to play in some of those gyms and coaching some of those rivalries. The Paulsboro-Woodbury rivalry was great, playing Haddonfield every year, just great things. And we also had the opportunity to play in a lot of those showcases. Only Paulsboro kids, like we played Camden 3 times. We played Camden on a Saturday and Atlantic City on a Sunday. I always say I made a lot of money for Cherry Elise and John Valori because we packed it every time. Did we not, Coach Allen? We always made them money, but we didn't seem to get any kickbacks at Paulsboro, I'll tell you that. But either way, it was great to be a part of those games. The second reason I'm here, obviously, is my players. I coached for 13 years. I had a 3,000 point scorer, a 2,000 point scorer, 6,000 or 7,000 point scorers. They're just tremendous players. Now, I don't want to start going down the list of all the great players because I know I'll slight some, but they were tremendous. They made my job easy. So again, like I said, I'm here because of a horse, the players, and the final reason I'm probably here is because of my dad. Like many kids, my dad was a coach. Although he retired around 33 and he's 80. So when he screams at my sisters and I and about, if a kid from NC State doesn't check off against Duke, he flips out, and we're like, well, he's dedicated his life to this game, which is a little off. Like Coach Lang dedicated his life to this game. My dad got out 47 years ago. But either way, his intensity has never wavered. I've told this story before. We're in a state championship game. We're up 30. We're about to win a state championship. Steve Priest gives up the sideline. Steve Priest is a JV player, and I could look across the gym, and with a minute left, my dad's yelling at my mom about giving up the sideline. You never give up the sideline. But what he did give me the opportunity is I didn't have the assistant coaches that many of my opponents always had. I had great coaches, great people, but I didn't have that think tank. I used to play Kevin Crawford. There'd be 9 coaches there. Eric Cassidy has 5 coaches there. I didn't have that. I had my dad. That's all I needed. He'd watch a game for a couple minutes and, basically at the end, tell me what we need to do to win. But it always came out to one thing: you got to make shots. If they make shots and you don't, they'll win. As simple as that. But no, I appreciate everything he did. It's been huge footsteps to follow. One of my friends said one time, because we have a farm, he's like, "You're doing everything your dad did." And I thought, well, the Republican Party's not knocking down my door yet, but all I gotta say is those footsteps are huge, but it's been easy to walk through them with him and my family's support. And finally, the last quote that made me think I want to think about today: we won one of the South Jersey championships, and one of my former players came running up to me at Paulsboro and gave me a hug, and we're walking in the locker room. He said, "Coach, you always make us feel like we're still a part of this." It meant a lot to me. And I just want my players to know that even though it's going to be my name on there, this was a lot of people that got me here today. And I appreciate it, and good luck to everyone else. Thank you.